My name's Linda and I am the teen librarian here at the Traverse Area District Library. Today I am going to show you how to make a quilted pillow. So this is our dragon pillow. You'll see the really cute dragons on the back. I think they're adorable. And then on the front we have castle squares, castle bricks, and dragon scales. So to make this you need to contact the library and get your kit. It is part of our curbside pickup or pickup in the library when we do open. The kit comes with instructions on how to sew with a link to this video. And let's see, in here we have a sewing kit, and the sewing kit has thread, needles, some really wimpy scissors, but they're really good for cutting thread. Not much else. So if you have an extra pair of scissors on hand, you might want to grab those. And it's got a tape measure, everything we will need to make this. Inside is the fabric and the scales, 2 squares of scales and 2 squares of bricks, and 1 square for the back, the dragon square. So I'm going to set the dragon square aside for now. We will work with that a little bit later. And also in here is the fiber fill. This is the stuffing that makes the pillow all soft and comfy. I'm going to put that back in. Oh my goodness, I'm making a mess. All right, let's set that aside. Now we need to figure out what pattern we want these to be. I think I am going to stay kind of like how I had it here on opposite corners with the different dragon scales, but here I made the dragon scales face the same direction. This time I think I'm going to change it up and have them face different directions. So the first step is to lay it out so you can see how you want the pillow to look. The next step will be to take the fabric from the left side and just flip it over just like that, both from the left side, and flip it over and you will have yourself a little fabric sandwich there. So the nice side of the fabric, this pretty side right here, is called the right side, and the side that usually is inside whatever you're sewing is called the wrong side. So we put right sides together, and now I want to measure 1/4 inch. So what we're going to do is create a seam allowance. If you sew right on the very edge, then it's going to unravel and it will probably fall apart. We measured, when I made these squares, I measured so you would have 1/4 inch to sew around all the edges to make them fit the back. So take out your trusty little tape measure, and I went and grabbed a pencil. You can use a pencil, pen, whatever you want. This is going to be inside your fabric so you won't see it. I want to make sure I'm lined up nice and straight there, and measure in about 1/4 inch, because that is where we want to sew. 1/4 inch. I'm just going to put some dots here, and then I'm going to connect the dots. So get them all the way down. Nice little line so I see where I want to sew. This will keep me from making it too small or too large. Do the same thing on the other piece. 1/4 inch and 1/4 inch. It's bunching up on me a little bit there, so I'm going to have to hold it a little bit better. I do like pencil so that it will wash out. When I am sewing at home, I use a fabric marker, and the fabric marker comes out in the wash. But most people don't have one on hand, and I don't have one here at the library, so I'm just going to use a pencil. So now we have those marked, and this is where we are going to sew. Show you that. I don't know if you can see the mark on that one. You can probably see it better here. It's just a little bit in. So get your needle out. And this has a lot of needles, so if you lose needles or you have other sewing to do, you will be all set for this fall, getting your clothes ready for school. Sewing on the buttons, changing things up that you get at the store to make them cooler, whatever you want to do. Okay, so I've got a needle, and this handy little thing right here, if I can pick it up, is called a needle threader. Can you see that? So this needle threader has a wire, so you don't have to be able to get the thread through the teeny, teeny, teeny little hole in here. So I am going to instead stick the needle threader through the hole. Once I get it through the tip a little bit, I'm gonna squeeze it and it'll go right in. Let's see. So I say it'll go right in. If I can see it. Hang on just a second. I can see better without my glasses. Close up. There we go. I just couldn't see where I was going. So you see, I don't know, it's kind of light, so maybe if it's on the dark you can see it. Then I am going to get myself a piece of thread. I'm going to use blue. You can use whichever color. No, I think I'll use gray. You can use whichever color you want in here. This thread is not going to be visible from the outside. I'm going to get about from the end of my arm to my nose. Take my handy little thread scissors and cut it off. And then I will thread it, take the thread and stick it through this nice big hole in the needle threader. So you have it hanging down like that. I don't know if you can see that. And then just pull the needle down and the thread is on. All right. So now we need to tie the thread. So to make it easy on myself so it doesn't come unthreaded, I'm gonna take them both so it all the way down to the bottom. So it ends up being 2 pieces of thread. And grab that bottom here. And here is the trick to tying your thread. Is I got some water here. I'm gonna get my finger a little wet. No, I'm gonna have to open it. Get my finger a little bit wet so that the thread doesn't slip off. And let me stand up and get close so you can see this. So I'm gonna grab the thread with 2 fingers. I'm gonna wrap it around. So then you have it like that. And then I'm just roll it to the edge and then pull tight. And there I have a nice large knot. That larger knot will keep it from pulling through when you go to sew. So how to sew? So I've got my piece here, and all you need to do is go, I'm going to start from the bottom. You can start from the bottom or the top and just stick it through the fabric and pull up. And then stick it back down through the fabric right on that line you made and pull down. And then you just keep doing that all the way down the line. You go up through the fabric and down. Now I am going to probably speed this up so you can always pause and restart it when you get to the end of the row. Okay, Now, if you got to the end of the row, see the fabric could be bunched up like that there, so just kind of smooth it out so you have a nice flat piece. And then we are going to tie this off. Let's see if I can. So to tie it off, you have your thread here, and you go down and up into the fabric, and you see how that is making a loop. So you have this nice loop here. Just go into the loop and around a couple times. And then when you pull it tight, you have a knot on the end. So let me show you that one more time. Go down and up into the fabric, so your needle's through it like that. Make sure you're not going down and up into the large piece. It can be anywhere in the 1/4 inch where you sewed. So you have a loop and you go through the loop and then through the loop again. And that kind of tangles it up there and you pull it tight. Then all I need to do is cut my thread. And there you have one piece done. So now let's lay it right back where it had been and grab the next piece and do the same thing. So I don't think my thread's going to be long enough. I'm going to do another piece. And then I'm going to show you how to, tie it one more time and then fast forward over the sewing of it. Okay, get my needle threader here. Thread through the needle threader just a little bit. Pull it down. Go down to duplicate. And then you have them both there at the end. You slide down. No, my finger's not wet. If my finger's not wet, it's going to make a really small hole. A really small knot. There we go. Get it like that and just really twist it in there. Pull down. Let's see, that might not be big enough. I'm going to do it one more time. The thing is, we don't want the thread to pull right through the fabric. Yeah, that's a nice size knot. Look at that. Okay, so now I am going to sew this the same way I did the other one. Up through the fabric and down. Okay, so I'm at the end of the row. I'm going to smooth it out. This is an important step. Smooth it out, and I am going to then knot it off here at the end. And just like with the last one, I'm going to knot it twice. So go through the circle twice and pull it tight, and then do one more. In and up and in and up and pull it tight. Okay. These scissors are so funny. They're like little pieces of aluminum just kind of together, so it's almost like using a cutout piece of a can to cut your thread. So they're cute. They're really cute, but they're very, very very pathetic. Okay, so now we have our 2 sandwich pieces, and we are going to put these together. So I want you to open them up so you can see the right sides, nice and pretty. There, you can see that. and open this one up and see the right side's nice and pretty. So remember, I wanted them both to face up their directions, so here we go. Now you're gonna make a sandwich again like you did before, but both of them are gonna go on top. Now the seams are gonna match up in the center, and see how the seams match up there. And once again, you're going to be marking on the wrong side of the fabric. So take your tape measure and mark a 1/4 inch every so often, and then we're going to connect the dots into a line. It's a little bit hard to see the pencil on this grayer fabric, so I'm pushing a little bit harder than I normally would. And you're even going to sew through where the other seam is. So you just need to mark it, mark it, mark it, mark it. And if it doesn't end up being perfect, there is a little bit of flexibility you have here. Now if you have a ruler, you can just put it on there and do a stripe and you're good. I did not bring a ruler in here today, so I am marking it lots of little dots, so get it about the same distance. And I'm going to color in those lines so I know where to sew. There we go. So here you go. You've got your line. This is where I'm going to sew. So I'm going to just do that now and speed it up, and so you will see it when it's done here in just a second. Now, if you ever didn't get any of the of what we were doing, just go back and you can rewind it, and you can try it again. Okay, so my thread is not going to make it all the way down. You see it hanging down there? So I am going to tie it off here and create a new, and rethread the needle, and then complete the seam. Okay, so that seam is done, and open it up, and we have the quilted part of our pillow. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take our dragons, lovely dragons, and we're going to lay them down so we can see them top side up, and then we're going to, let's see, lay our sewn quilted piece right on top of it. Oh my goodness, I don't think I measured quite right. My 1/4 inch was not a whole 1/4 inch, was it? But that's okay, because we have all this extra. It's just going to be inside the pillow. We just need to make sure that we sew outside the line enough. This is sewing, so it's okay. So now I'm going to mark a 1/4 inch in from the dragon fabric. Not, since I didn't quite cut these pieces right, I think that's what happened. I'm gonna, but if all of your pieces are slightly larger, then it was that I figured the measurements wrong. But this one worked out right, so I think I just didn't cut the fabric quite right on this. But luckily, giving it the seam, it's going to be inside out, so nobody will see the extra on the other sides. So I'm going to make my line just about that same amount all the way down on all 4 sides of this. And this time, because I'm not adding any additional pieces, I'm just kind of eyeballing it because it needs to be far enough away from the edge of any one piece of fabric that it's not going to unravel. But you don't want it in so far that it makes your pillow smaller. So let's get, now we're not going to go all the way around. What we need to do is leave a little bit of area for us to turn the pillow inside out. I don't want that area to be at the very corner. So I'm going to stop sewing here and probably here. We need a couple inches to turn it in right side out. So I've left this to this open for turning it right side out at the end. So time to get sewing again. When you get to the corner, at the end of the row, you come up from the corner and all you need to do is just simply turn your fabric and you can keep sewing. You don't need to tie it off and start a new piece of thread. You can just keep going with the same piece of thread. And every so often you want to stop and make sure you're not getting it all bunched up in there and smooth your fabric out so that you don't run out your string and not have enough to tie it off for starting the second piece of string. You're probably going to need 2 or 3 pieces of string to get around this. If you pull them, create the thread too long on the needle, it becomes unwieldy and it can tangle. That's why you don't want to go much longer than from your hand to your nose. Okay, so I'm not quite done yet, but what I just noticed is that somewhere back in here, one piece of my thread, because I'm doing doubled thread, is pulled up and kind of sticking up. So if you ever get to that, if you have that problem, just take the thread on your needle and kind of separate it with your hands like this, and then pull the pieces separately. And that will get rid of any loop that might be sticking out. And then, of course, once you do that, you have to straighten your fabric back out again. It's a little more difficult around the curve, but just a little smoothing, and it is gone. And I've fixed it. Okay, I'm coming up on my last side here, so I want to remember to leave an opening of at least a couple inches so that I can turn it inside, right side up. All right, here we go. They are all sewn together, all 5 pieces. Let's find my opening here. So when I turn it inside out, before I do that, there's one thing you can optionally do. You don't have to do this, but it will make the pillow kind of lay a little smoother. But if you don't have other scissors, it will not work with these scissors, these little baby things. So if you have other scissors, go ahead and cut right on the angle at the corners. Make sure you don't cut through where any thread is. Even these scissors don't work right. And that will make, when you turn it inside out, that it won't poof up in the corners. So just give each corner a little snip. 1, 2, 3. Now see, this one I sewed a little bit in going one direction, so I want to be really careful that I don't snip that thread, because then I'd be re-sewing the entire section that thread was tied onto. Now that that is done, I am going to turn it right side out. as I do that, I like poke my finger in the corners to get the corners to go up nicely. Oh yeah, this is gonna look good. Love the dragons. It's so soft and it's so awesome looking. Let's see here. Just stick your fingers in there and get the corners up nicely. All right, look at that. Spread that out. So as you can see, the pillow is a pillowcase right now. There's no big gaping holes, except for this one. And we are going to fill that with our polyester fiber fill stuffing. Now, if you wanted to make your own pillow out of stuff you have at home, and like an old t-shirt, you cut a couple squares and sew it together. There'll be plenty of thread left over and such in the sewing kit, so you can do that. But if you don't have any fiber fill or any stuffing, what I have used in the past is, it's not quite as cushy and not as comfortable, but you can use old socks. You can use any fabric that has been like cut up into smaller pieces so it's not big lumpy. You can even use rice, and if you put rice in there, then it's kind of like a little massage when you lay on it, and you can heat it up in the microwave and have it make it a warming thing. So all our fiber fill is in there, but we still have this gap to take care of. So get your needle and thread. I think this should be long enough, but if not, I'll just grab more because I am almost out of gray thread. So I'm going to knot that. Now this we're going to sew a little bit differently. Because this is a visible seam, everyone's going to be able to see where you sewed it. So if you see on here, you can see that seam, and the other ones are all hidden. So once you have your knot, you want your knot to be inside the pillow so that nobody can see it. Let me get close to you here so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to go underneath the pillow, and I'm going to just stick up my needle through where it has already been sewn and pull it out, and there's my knot holding it there. So when you stretch these sides of the pillows together, you see how it folds under automatically? You just hold it tight like that, and you're going to go from one side to the other and then around the top. So you're not going to go up and down like that. This time you're just going to go one side to the other and around the top. So it's always going from either the front to back or back to front. And you're going to do that down the entire length. This way that the pillow can spread out a little bit. If you go up and down, you're going to have a pucker right there. And one thing that happens to me a lot when I'm sewing this is my thread gets a little bit in the way. So it is a little bit more time consuming, and there's no real fast way to do this like there was for the other. We're almost to the end. You can see the knot there is sticking up. Helps me remind where it is, but we don't want that. We're going to tuck that under so we can't see that at the end. Just a little bit further and we will be done with this. Uh-oh, my thread is getting short. I hope I have enough to tie it. Let's hope I can make it. There's just a little bit more. I don't want to start another piece of thread right at this junction. There, got tangled there for a second too. We're almost to it. I think it's gonna make it. I just need like 2 more stitches and then I can tie it off. Yes, I think I have enough to tie it off. We'll see here in a second. So to tie it off, you tie it off the same way you did before. Yep, I got just enough to get through that hole. To go around a couple times, and you definitely want to tie it off twice. Go through the thread, just like you did at the end of every seam. I almost can't get it in there because it's so short. I can do it, I know I can. There we go. And, well, it got tangled just a little bit. Snip that off. And look at that. We have our nice, soft dragon pillow. Oh, it's so cushy. I think I want 100 of these for my bed.